right, look, in this new segment of a video of the topic, we finna talk about running away from yourself. Now look, you need to know this. It's a yin and a yang to yourself and everything else around you. Now look, so for me to break it down in a more term where you can understand it, there you got your soul and you got your ego. Now your soul is your inner self and shit like that, and that's your first self. And you got your ego, and that's your flesh self. This is this shit right here. Now look, people nowadays are because we got Instagram and other shit that's external. We got a whole lot of external shit nowadays. So a lot of people, they don't be realizing it, and a lot of people, they realize it, but overall though, they be running away from themselves and shit. And yourself is your soul, your internal self and shit like that. A lot of people run away from their own soul and shit like that, and they get lost and lose their soul, and they just go farther and farther out from home and shit like that. Now look, the reason why running away from yourself is very dangerous is because we live in a collective consciousness. See, even though we in bodies and shit like that in the internal part, we all still are connected. So it's like if one person think about something, you gonna get that thought. If one person feel a certain way and you don't know how to decipher what emotions are yours or not, you gonna feel that shit. You ever been around somebody and they was feeling sad and you felt that shit too? You ever been around somebody and they was happy and you felt it too? It's cause we all different, but we still all the same, and we all still connected in a collective consciousness. Now look, now even though it's a lot of people on earth, depending on where you not going, it's kind of like broken down to it's more simpler. So it's like whatever collective conscious you in, whether the work or the workplace you go to or the job you go to, the sport you play, and shit like that, and the people, places, and things you be around, that's gonna be the collective that you going that's gonna be sending you all the thoughts and actions and shit like that, and the influences and shit like that. So that's why you gotta know what's you and what ain't you. Cause if we all connected, you can be receiving some shit and emotions and shit like that ain't even yours. And if you don't know yourself and you running away from yourself, you gonna take these emotions on like they yours. For example, a lot of people at my school, I'm always using my school for example. Perfect, 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 perfect. Now look, a lot of people at my school, girls and boys, keep turning gay. Now look, one thing you need to understand that is gay is not a real thing. When you come back to the truth and come back to the real world, and without no illusions and things like that, gay is not a real thing. So you need to figure out, okay, so you need to figure out this. Why everybody turning gay and shit like that. You need to know it's an influence. So since everybody running away from themselves, that influence is easier to influence somebody to feel like they are gay. You get what I'm trying to say? Because they don't know themselves, and they, so when that influence start influencing them, and they start getting, they got a weak crown chakra, and that's more the spiritual part, and then it's gonna start influencing them. I gotta reshoot this shit. Motherfucker done call my damn phone and shit. Now look, back to what I was saying though. Now, if they don't know themselves and shit like that, like how I said before the shit got cut off, it's gonna start influencing them and shit, and it's gonna be like make them start thinking like gay thoughts and shit like that. And if you're a person and you know yourself, you can be like, man, these thoughts ain't mine, what the hell? But a person who don't know themselves gonna start identifying with this influence and these thoughts, and they're gonna be like, well, I'm gay. And instead of them, they got 3 or 2 ways to deal with this shit. It's either they go within and they fight these influences, or it's either they go within and they fight it and they figure out, okay, that's not me, or it's either they try to run away from it and shit like that, and then they start doing it on the low. They start being gay on the low and shit like that. These the down low faggots and shit, and they start being on the low with it, but they gain influence and shit. So they just be down low faggots and shit. That's how a down low faggot is happen and shit. Or you got it where they start taking on it and being like, I am this, I am GAY and shit like that, and it's like damn. If you would have known yourself, you would have known that wasn't even, man, this shit is crazy. Now look, now as I said though, the dangers of running away from yourself, you're gonna be able to be attacked by influences that are not yours, and you would think your actions are yours, but it's other people's actions and shit like that. Other people, places, and things influencing you to do shit. They making you want to do that and shit like that, and it's fucked up. Now look, that's why meditation and time for yourself is important, and connecting with yourself, because it's like you don't want to get swayed to go in ways that you don't even want to go. Now look, before I even end this shit, another thing, if you running away from yourself and shit like that, you won't even be able, look, I wrote this shit down. You won't even be able to make your own life choices that are best for you. And you know, I'm talking about you as an individual, your soul. You won't even be able to make the direction or find direction in your life and shit like that. So that's when it started playing out where you lost and shit like that. And you feel like you need to get a job or go to the military or some shit like that, but you're not realizing that you got a purpose or a calling or some shit like that, and you will realize you got a calling or some shit if you will go within yourself, and you'll be like, oh shit, I got a calling I need to do, but you're not realizing that shit, so you feel like you need to go out and get a job and shit like that. Now look, and one last thing though, running away from yourself, it will cause you not to know your life purpose on earth and shit like that. And like I said, it's gonna play out when you getting a job and shit like that, and you start settling for less, and you start being in relationships with people you just put yourself up. You just set yourself up for obstacles and shit that you could easily avoid if you would have known yourself. Shit is crazy.